Yes, $1 million, it's inevitable. I think more 2030. Reminding people that this is a revolution. You know, if we dip down to 113K, maybe it's a good day to buy, stack and chill instead of panic and sell that bag. Dude, what's not to be excited about Bitcoin? It's resistance money, it's FU money. You can take complete control of it. When Bitcoin's in self-custody, no government, institution, entity, corporation, they can't take it away, they can't debase it. Let's just wait and see what happens instead of just like jumping down like every little nuanced bit of conversation that comes out and is put into print. People trying to justify Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things. Just by having unrealistic expectations, it can lead us astray and maybe we feel like a little bit dejected or a little bit sad. You know, like Bitcoin hit 69,000 last cycle, everyone was calling for 100K. It didn't happen. Some of those people where it went from 69,000 down to 15.4 sold and they're never coming back.
Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, Robin. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. And you've been, I think 2 or 3 times we talked about before. How many times we already talked about this? It's a lot. Like I think you're my oldest Bitcoin friend. I think I can call you that because you've been inviting me on the podcast before anyone else. I think Daniel Prince and you were the first ones that did that, even before I had the podcast. So I'm super thankful for that and grateful to call you a friend of mine. But for a few people that might not know you and haven't seen our podcast, maybe give some quick overview of who you are and especially why you're excited about Bitcoin.
Dude, what's not to be excited about Bitcoin? It's resistance money, it's FU money. You can take complete control of it. When Bitcoin's in self-custody, no government, institution, entity, corporation, they can't take it away, they can't debase it. You physically need to hand over those keys, but Bitcoin lives in cyberspace. Like, what keys? Try me, bro. You know, so many people go boating. I saw you were out boating the other week and stuff, and so many people are just losing their Bitcoin keys. That's the power of Bitcoin. But for anyone that doesn't know me, my name's Sean Clarke, host of the G'day Bitcoin YouTube channel. It's 100% focused on Bitcoin, interviewing the best and the brightest minds within Bitcoin, very similar to what Robin is doing. And like going back to your first point, Robin was posting on X, like just pure signal, just had this amazing X account going on. And I reached out to Robin and said, man, like you've got to come on for a podcast. Came on and, you know, it's a pleasure my end as well to be able to call you a friend. Really quickly on the channel, I used to cover the news every day last year. Then politics came into Bitcoin and it just got a little bit too much for me. Like Bitcoin to me is that separation of money from state, like in the words of Nico Moran. And that's what I'm here for. So I stopped doing the news and just focused more on the Bitcoin podcast, having Bitcoin guests on and just reminding people that this is a revolution. You know, if we dip down to 113K, maybe it's a good day to buy, stack and chill instead of panic and sell that bag. You know, fiat prices, we're going to go north of $1 million and stuff. I don't think it's that this cycle, but we can get into that later on as well.
Yeah, news is, I like that move because I personally don't cover news. I don't see the news that much because I feel like if we understand the fundamentals, what's going on with Bitcoin, what more do we need? Like it's sometimes fun to talk about all the treasury companies are coming here. This guy said that, like there's BlackRock coming in, like all those things that kind of happen in Bitcoin. But it's like, yeah, we've saw it coming, and is it really that important? Like it's, I like talking about fundamentals, and news is interesting for me, but it's not something that I really see or like really pay attention to. And I kind of get news with my guests, like the guests bring the news to me, and like I joke about that because it's like. I don't consume a lot of Bitcoin news. Like I see sometimes my Twitter feed, and then the rest is just coming through the guest. And usually I get to know about everything, but just a little late than everyone else. And I'm fine with that. And it slows you down. I just talked about with Das, you probably know him. He just tours around Australia right now. And he talked about this unplugging yourself from the Bitcoin news cycle. really being an amazing thing. And so for me, just talking with other Bitcoiners about Bitcoin and not following everyday news, it's a great relief for me, honestly. And I love that you've also gone that way.
For the mental health as well, like it's so much better. So like I did cover the news through Donald Trump's presidential cycle of the American US elections and stuff. But then, like at the end of last year, then this year, Australia went into voting and stuff. And I'm like, I just can't cover that anymore. Like I've had a gut full of politics, full stop. That they're not coming to save anyone, you know. And then, like with a lot of the news now, it's Bitcoin Treasury companies and stuff like that. And same thing, guests like will bring it up, or I'll see things on my X feed. But to be able to unplug from it, and like Jeff Booth, as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, there's nothing to worry about it. And what I found with covering the news 5 days a week going live is the price would move because that's what Bitcoin's price does. It'll just move either up or down, or it'll go sideways for an extended period. But these journalists will try find, or they'll even fabricate a reason of why it's dropped. And it's almost like bubble gum, like you're chewing and chewing and chewing, and you're thinking like you're getting somewhere, but it's not satiating like a good steak is. Whereas when you're sitting down with someone that's studied Bitcoin and they've learned that they should be able to communicate, and even if you just get one little idea that allows you to hold longer or stack a little bit more, or it puts you down like a course of research to read the books or eat the bugs, like that's the signal. What Bitcoin does day to day, one Bitcoin's one Bitcoin. Do we have enough? No, like we need to stack sats. If the price drops dramatically, like yes, we may check in, but it's probably a fabricated story. Or even if it isn't a fabricated story, long term, does it matter? No, we've got fiat, hit buy, and then just like carry on, like do whatever it is in our lives to be able to provide value, to earn more Bitcoin or fiat dollars, to be able to stack more Bitcoin. Whereas if we're like caught up in this news cycle, Trump said this and then he didn't do it, or Larry Fink said this, now he's not going to do it, or whatever. Let's just wait and see what happens, instead of just like jumping down like every little nuanced bit of conversation that comes out and is put into print, you know, for people trying to justify Bitcoin doing Bitcoin things.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it before we recorded that no matter where we are politically, the government wants more taxes, they want more printing of money, and they're just going to keep doing that. I mean, with Donald Trump also, we have the big beautiful bill. We had the thing with Elon Musk that he tried to save money, but obviously he got out of it because he was like, yeah, the system is too powerful. Like he cannot stop it. And if Elon Musk cannot stop it, like nobody can, I guess. So it's interesting how governments are just moving in that one direction. Even if someone you think you're like, oh, like maybe he has good intentions, maybe he actually can make a difference. You're like, oh yeah, like he also prints a lot of money. Like that, nothing changes in that regard.
like he's angry, you know, and I haven't really followed it, but just the bits that I was seeing that. Papa Power won't drop the interest rates because they need to refinance the debt. So he wants to get rid of him next year and have his own man in there so that they can lower the interest rates, refinance it at that time. You know, the big print, that's when it comes. But do we need to get caught up in the news cycle? No, like we can watch the liquidity and stuff. And if like Bitcoin, like pumps crazy, if it goes from where it is 113 to like $180,000 overnight, maybe at that stage it's good to pay attention to the news and find out what the reason is, because if it's pumped for no reason, maybe it just makes sense not to keep buying as much or as fast and just sort of wait for the market to settle, find out what's going on. But if it goes from like 113 to 180 overnight and nuclear war or something has happened, well, then yes, maybe we want to double down, do everything we can to stack even more in that moment. But for the rest of it, you know, just TikTok, next block, Bitcoin's ticking over a block every 9 minutes, 36 seconds on average. And I guess that's the joy now, Robin. We've got money that we can save in, like not even need to go out on the risk curve or invest or get into property or stocks or anything like that. We can just save in better money when we secure it right in self-custody, air-gapped, open source, Bitcoin-only device. Like once we have done all that, we know the money's safe. Like there's nothing to worry about. We're not going to lose that purchasing power over time to inflation. The government can't just come out, print more Bitcoins or whatever. And it just creates so much space and clarity within one's mind to do whatever is important, like to each of us, which is, I think that's really what I'm finding joy in at the moment. And like once you align with that Bitcoin's just perfect money, set rules, no rulers. It's based on mathematics, code. It's truth. We've got a solid foundation and we can build on top of that. I guess that's where my head's at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and the big print is interesting because I think it's the inevitable that actually will come anyways. Because we're just waiting for that one event where we have a kind of a 2020 event where there's just like a lot of printing. Like we have a lot of printing anyways, always. But an event like 2020 where 40% of the supply was printed, that was printed the past 50 years, only in 1 year, 40% of that, which is kind of amazing. And then this can come at any time again. You said before also that you think that Bitcoin can hit, I think, 1 million in this cycle. Is that connected? No, not this cycle.
Not this cycle. So many people are saying 440K with Josh Mandel or $1 million or something. If that happens, Robin, if we go to $440,000 or $1 million this cycle, in the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months, the world's fundamentally screwed up, like really bad. Things have gotten really bad really, really quickly. And like we've got friends and family that don't have Bitcoin or they don't have enough Bitcoin. They're not prepared. So like number one, like I don't want that to happen. And then anyone believing that it's going to, the amount of money, liquidity that needs to come in is like, that's a huge amount of money. But when they print so much money, everyone all around the world really, because of COVID, is, experiencing a cost of living crisis. Australia's homelessness has just gone through the roof. Same with Europe, Canada, the US, a lot of quote unquote first world countries are having third world problems due to the money printer. So like, yes, $1 million, it's inevitable. I think more 2030, cycle wise, more in line with the traditional cycles. However, all bets are off if they do just money print. And even the way that I'm seeing it, I don't know if this cycle's the same or it's fundamentally different. But even if we look at like Bitcoin's history, it is just up and to the right over time when we zoom out. So like, if people, it's your money, it's your choice, it's your investment thesis. I get all that, but I don't want, I would find it so sad personally if, say, we topped it out 125 or we only go to 150 this cycle and people are waiting for $1 million and then we crash from like 150 down to 98K or something. And then they sell and they panic because Bitcoin's broken because it didn't go to $1 million this cycle. And then a couple of years later, we are at $1 million. I think just by having unrealistic expectations, it can lead us astray and maybe we feel like a little bit dejected or a little bit sad. Like Bitcoin hit 69,000 last cycle. Everyone was calling for 100K. It didn't happen. Some of those people where it went from 69,000 down to 15,400 sold and they're never coming back because their research, when they did their own research, they read the books and they're watching the podcasts and everything like that, they were implanted with a belief that was absolutely bullshit. And like, cool, maybe we do get to 400K, maybe we get to $1 million or whatever. Cost of living, it's going to get worse. So anyone not on Bitcoin's absolutely screwed. We don't want that. And if we go that high, that quick, without like a major reason like the big print, the crash will be huge. and like be absolutely devastating for a lot of people, and it could set us back as well. So ultimately, we can't control what Bitcoin will do. We can just be here and observe it. But if I could, I'd just let it just do what it's doing: go up, come down, go sideways, go up, come down a bit, go sideways, and then like anything, like last year, I was saying this cycle 120 to 150K. We hit 125K. So anything more is a bonus, anything less is a bonus. And what can we do just to optimize the amount of sats that we have for next cycle, you know?
And I love that message because there's ultimately just two reasons why Bitcoin is going up or down. It's when more people are adopting it, or when the dollar or whatever fiat currencies you're measuring is devalued. And I think the rise in Bitcoin, the adoption rise in Bitcoin, is correlated to the devaluation in some sense. So and I think that's what we have to caution people. If we get actually to like $1 million like in 2026, what does this actually mean? This means that your friends and families are struggling, that the world is screwed, and that there's something really big and bad happened. Like Bitcoin is not just going to $1 million and nothing happened. I mean, it could, but this has to be playing out for like a long period of time to just getting Bitcoin naturally adopted. So I also like, I said like, around like 150 to maybe 200K, something like that could be the top. I don't know. Like I have no clue. I'm very satisfied with the price. You said it before, like people are panicking because the Bitcoin price just like went down to 110, 113K, 115K, whatever. It's like, yeah, that's amazing. We are up. I don't even know. I've done check the price, but I think we are up year to date. We are up year to date 20%. We are 1 year up 87%. How many? 87% CAGR in the last 1 year. Like that's freaking amazing. The last 5 years, 870%. So honestly, like that is, and I don't know, like how you think about that, but I get a lot of comments actually saying like, oh, Bitcoin is so slow. It's not growing enough. And it's like, what are you talking? We had 113K. We have like we almost doubled the last 12 months. It's freakingly fast. People just want this, like, this thing where they buy it and all of a sudden they are a billionaire. Like it's not happening like that. How do you look at that?
It comes across psychologically from a place of greed, and I guess that's why we all, you come for the gains and you stay for the revolution, as this meme within Bitcoin. The price to me, and I think this may be the best way to be able to answer your question, Robin, it's like a marketing tool. Number go up, people hear about Bitcoin, it's at 125,000 US, or it broke 100K, or whatever it is, whatever on the day. That brings people into it. But then you realize, the fiat price is absolutely irrelevant. One Bitcoin's one Bitcoin, come back to it. But let me think of how to phrase it. May you repeat the question again?
It's for me, the question was kind of like, we have so many people, like we have Bitcoin now at like 87% annual return, and like over 800 the last 5 years. So we have extremely fast development, but people are like, oh, like it's not doing anything. Like they want this like 100x in 1 year.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess like if you look at Bitcoin, if you bought it 16 years ago or whatever, like it's done thousands of percent or whatever. And everyone that's hearing about Bitcoin today, because of the price, 113K or 125,000 all-time high, whatever it is, they remember back to when Bitcoin for me was $94 Australian. The next week is $96 Australian. I didn't start buying until it was 300 times more expensive, you know? So I know that Bitcoin can do or has done a 300x in the past. It's done way more than that. But then we also have the noise of the cryptocurrency space. There'll be like that 1 out of a million shitcoin that does 100x out of it. But also like if we're coming in, to this space. Like, say when we're at 58K forever, like last year, just 7 months at $58,000, just cruising along, and then we jumped up to 67,000 around the time Trump got elected. That 67,000 was so close to all-time high. So these people, it's in the news, the price or whatever, they jump in, and then it goes from 67,000, it goes up to 89 or thereabouts, and then up to 94K. They're like, whoa, huge gain. But then it just chop-solidates, in the words of James Checks. That chop-solidation, it's just going sideways again. So they may have got like from 67 to 94 in like 1 or 2 months. And they're like, oh, that's their experience of Bitcoin, that I buy it and then it goes up. Oh, but then it goes sideways, and then they'll have another jump up, and they're like, oh, it's back on. But they're failing to realize that Bitcoin only moves like 11 to 12 days on average per year. And then I think also like pairing that with whatever price we first heard about Bitcoin, for me, 300 times cheaper. We expect it to do a 5x or a 10x or whatever, but 87%, I think you're saying, over the last year. That's like 30 years of having your cash in a bank paying interest. You know, like maybe it's even more. Like the interest rates, I opened up a fourth bank account for our company so that I could put money aside and then put it into Bitcoin. And the lady's like, I just need to tell you about the interest rates. I'm like, don't bother, I'm not interested. She's like, I need to tell you about the interest rates before you can open the account. It's just what we need to do. I'm like, if you need to make me like listen to this, that's fine. And she's like, oh, if you've got under 5,000, it's like 0.01% or 0.001%. I'm like, okay. And she's like, if it's like 5 to 10,000 or whatever, it's this amount. And then she got all the way up to $80,000, and it was like under 1%. I'm like, can I just stop you there? Like, the only reason I've opened this account is to be able to save in Bitcoin. That is my interest rate. Like, I'm not interested. She's like, yeah, I'm finished anyway. So like, depending, obviously it's just like an easy account online so that I can have money aside and then I can put it into Bitcoin. But if that was my interest rate and that's what I was holding my time and energy in, number one, it's not outpacing inflation, but like to be able to get what Bitcoin can do in 1 year is going to take 30, maybe 40, or maybe even with this account, 50 or 100 years. Like this particular account, I understand interest rates are a little bit higher with some. But where's it come from? Maybe just not knowing or seeing what it's done in the past and thinking that's going to happen today. Like it's up 800% since COVID, you're saying, or over the last 5 years. That's 8x. Like that's huge. But people want that to happen straight away. It's like when we see a celebrity or a movie star or whatever, and they're like, oh, they got successful overnight. But did they really? Did it not maybe take them 5, 10, 15 years, late nights, grinding away, going to the gym, putting in their proof of work, that focus on that one thing for so long, and then their instant success? But like what came before it? And people see like their friends or family or whatever, they'll have 1 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin or something like that. And then when they measure them in fiat dollars, they're like, oh, that person's worth $1 million. They just got rich overnight. Actually, no, maybe it took them 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But they're just sort of seeing it at that moment or that conversation or that news event or whatever, and not seeing like the history of what led up to there. Or like, even to bring it back to Bitcoin, going sideways at 58K forever, and then it just jumps up, you know, really quickly to 67, 83 or 4 or whatever it was, then 94. It's just like boom, 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 sideways, and then it'll jump up.
It's amazing. And there's, I remember I connect the overnight success and Bitcoin's growth to exponential growth. There's this amazing example. I don't know the exact numbers right now out of my head, but I remembered it a little bit, where if you drop one drop of water into a football stadium and you double that amount every minute. So like in the first minute, you just drop one small drop of water, and then it's like in the second one is two. After, what was it? I think after 42 minutes, you just fill it with 1%. And after around 50 minutes, the full stadium is full.
Wow.
So you have this exponential growth thing where if it's a famous person, they usually done years and years of unnoticed work, and all of a sudden they have like a hit thing, and like all of a sudden like things accumulate. The same with Bitcoin. We always feel like, oh yeah, it's done nothing, but all of a sudden it's done a lot. And the thing is, the growth accumulates. There's like companies now coming in, then the ETFs are coming in, then the nation states are coming in, and slowly it accumulates. And all of a sudden, like, oh shit, we are Bitcoin at like 1 million. Oh, this is happening. But it takes a while, but all of a sudden we're making those jumps. So I don't know. I just think people are impatient, and the fiat system is kind of making them even more impatient because they see how everything is devaluing, how rent is going up, how food is going up, and they're like, oh, like I need my Bitcoin to go up even further. And it's like, yeah, but chill out.
Yeah.
you outperform it.
And I get it. Like everyone, especially not on a Bitcoin standard, they're working so hard. They've been saving, doing all the right things. They may be earning like the most amount of money that they've ever earned in their entire lives. And they're living like worse off this year than they were last year, even if they're earning more, or they're like staying in the same place. So they feel like they deserve a better life because they've worked hard for it. But unfortunately, the traditional system or the gatekeepers or whatever, or just simply because the money's broken, we've been steered off the path. So then when we hear about Bitcoin or we start focusing on, we see that it does have this exponential nature to it. We're like, okay, like I've worked hard for 40 years in the fiat system or whatever. Now I'm into Bitcoin. I've got my stack of Bitcoin. Now I deserve to be able to retire overnight or whatever, or I'm going to get a 10x. But like I still just come back, the lower Bitcoin's prices, the better it is for all of us now, at the moment, we don't have digital IDs. We don't have CBDCs. We've still got the opportunity to buy Bitcoin off the exchange. So, like, while those conditions still exist, I want the Bitcoin price for my friends, my family, for everyone out there to be as low as possible. I'd love $58,000. I don't think it's going to happen again, but like, I would be in raptures over that because people are just getting more Bitcoin and it's out of the hands of the nation states, the banks, the ETFs, etc., the private companies. And I think the higher the Bitcoin price goes, the more people that are going to chase Bitcoin. I think once Bitcoin's around $1 million, it's going to be safe for the banks and for everyone else not to be able to buy it. Bigger liquidity, bigger market cap, etc. Like we saw that person, 88,000 Bitcoin or whatever, sold $8 billion. And it brought the price down a couple of grand. Like we've dropped more today than when somebody sold $8 billion worth of Bitcoin. But like the higher the price goes, most people probably aren't going to be able to buy it, the everyday person, or be able to buy it and put it in self-custody. So I don't know. For anyone that needs the price to be at 250,000 this cycle, maybe we get there, maybe we don't. But like if you need it at that price, my answer would be, well, no, actually, you just need more Bitcoin. Like that's the answer basically to everything, because you need it to be at $1 million. No, you just need 10 times the amount of Bitcoin that you have now, 10 times 100,000 is $1 million. So just get more and then just chill. Just, put it in self-custody and relax, and it'll get there. As Daz said on your show, it's just one cycle away. Like it may not be this cycle, but it's just one cycle away, a cycle. So it's just time and just get as much as possible. And then the noise, the price, it's noise, it's interesting, but it's like the least relevant, especially the new people coming in the space. If you've been here for 5-10 years or whatever, like you already know, it's all good. And those people are already thinking, like Adam Back is doing Bitcoin Treasury company shit to be able to get more Bitcoin, because even he knows to control as much Bitcoin as possible, even if it's not under his personal name. People that have been here for a while still know the answers more. So for like anyone new into the space, like just get more, forget about the price just for a little bit, celebrate it. The I told you so is 100K, whatever, we're going to 1 million. That'll be a fun one as well. But, until then, just stack sats.
Yeah, and I guess if you're not retired, you want the Bitcoin price to come down. Like the only people that I feel like want the Bitcoin price to go up is the people that stopped producing income. And I don't know how many people this are in Bitcoin, because even if people are retired, they tend to still do proof of work and provide value for society. I got to know. So if you're not retired, like you benefit from a lower price because you get more Bitcoin. And there's also an interesting concept that the higher the price is, it unlocks new capital. That's the only really reason for Bitcoin adoption to have a higher price. But individually, like we anyways reach those levels. So like I'm 26, like I want as many Bitcoin as possible. Like I really don't care about, like I care about the price coming down because I don't need money right now. But maybe if I'm 50 or 60, that would be amazing when I'm coming closer to retirement and all those things with the family. But right now, like I can live, like a minimalist and don't have anything and just like stack as hard as I can. And I'm fine with that. And I don't know. I feel like people are not stacking enough. They're not hard enough on stacking.
It's all that matters is just more Bitcoin today than yesterday or last week or last month. Just more. But if you don't mind, I'd just like to talk about how you brought up the retired people. You and I are both young, so I am coming from my own lived experience, my reality. I don't know what it's like to be any older than I am right now, because it's the oldest that I've ever been, and I've got many, many, many decades until the traditional retirement age. So if somebody older is listening to me, and you're like, shut up, you young punk, I need Bitcoin at $250,000 or $500,000 so that I can retire, because I've worked my whole fucking life doing the hard things, building the world, the country that I live in, providing value. Like I need it to be higher. I can understand that, but I can't relate to it. And I do apologize. But for those people, in Australia at the moment, on the Fiat system, if you're retiring, you've paid off your house, about $3 million in the bank. If inflation doesn't go too crazy and interest rates sort of stay around where they are, may get someone through as a self-funded retiree. But having, say, $1 million in Bitcoin today instead of in cash is probably enough, or even 500,000 if you're willing to be very minimalist for the next couple of years, or just leave it there. But if Bitcoin's CAGR is 55% per year, which it has been for the last 5 years, or 87% for the last 10 years, or Robin was saying it's done 87% in the last 12 months, and you've got $1 million in Bitcoin, and like even if that drops off to 20%, you're just pulling $200,000 off a year. So like maybe you need Bitcoin to be at $1 million or something. And I'm talking way out of my depth because I'm not at that age. But say like you've got 4 Bitcoin, you need it to be 250,000, so you have the $1 million in fiat, and then you can pull off 20% a year or whatever and let that at 35% grow. And purchasing power, obviously, your Bitcoin stack's coming down. Again, like unfortunately, I still believe the answer is just more Bitcoin now, or wait a cycle. Dude, it's so tough. Like someone could have worked and saved for 40 years, and then in the last 5 years, the amount of money that the Australian fucking not the government, but the Treasury, the RBA in Australia printed, they added 67% to the M3 money supply. I think you're saying the US is 40%. So you save for 40 years. In the last 5 years, they just stole 67% of that in purchasing power. Gone. That's what 25 years of your life just wiped out in a fucking sec. So like if someone's come to retirement now and they've worked 40 years and stuff, but they're just sort of coming into Bitcoin, like it's so screwed up. Just fiat money is so screwed up and it's fucked so many people. So like I'm sorry if that's the case and you're retiring, but just get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. Find out what your number is and be like super conservative on the estimates of, saying like it's compound 57% per year. Cut that in half or cut into divide it by 10 or whatever it is. Bitcoin's compounded annual growth rate over time will go down, but there will be some years where it's maybe 2, 3, 500% or whatever, and then other years where it's negative. It sucks, man. Like people that have worked their whole lives, they're coming to retirement. If there's a way, maybe they're not earning as much, but if there is a way not to spend the Bitcoin they have and just live off the pension system or whatever it is to get through this cycle into the next one.
The first time I ever made any money, I got myself from that money a watch. And ever since then, I collect timepieces to remember times where I achieved some milestone. That's why I got the Bitcoin 2025 edition when I went to my first ever American Bitcoin conference. So for me, the Bitcoin watches from Coin Vigilant represents the time that we are living in. For every person that wears a Bitcoin watch, I know they are representing sound money to the outside world. Make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. I know how big of a hurdle it can be to have self-custody, but it's so freaking important to make that first step. We have to make sure it's as easy and simple as possible. And that's exactly what BitBox did. BitBox created the simplest and the easiest hardware wallet to use to get into self-custody. So get yourself a BitBox down from the link in the description. And when you use code Robin, you even get a 5% discount. The most important thing for your Bitcoin journey is not buying Bitcoin, but it's how to keep them. And yes, you have maybe the right tools, but how do you actually go ahead and stick it all together so it's the most secure for you personally? Self-custody is a deeply personalized journey. And the Bitcoin way is helping you exactly finding that correct setup for you personally. They're also helping you with securing your own cybersecurity. And if you want to go one step above all that, you can even get a consultation for a Plan B residency. Go to thebitcoinway.com/Robin and you will get a 30-minute free consultation. I want to tell you about something very special to me. It's called Microseed. If you hold your Bitcoin in self-custody, and you should, you know how critical it is to secure your seed phrase. You should not have them on paper. You should not have them on anything else than titanium. With Microseed, you can engrave your 12 or 24 word seed phrase, the entire seed phrase, onto a 1-inch small washer. Yes, just one washer. All 24 words on that one washer. You can hide that thing everywhere. And even better, you don't need to buy a new kit every time you have to get a new wallet. You can make unlimited backups because Microseed is not selling the washer. Microseed is selling the device that stamps the washer. So you get the full kit with the device, with the washers, with the hammer, with everything you need to get started today. And you can make with that unlimited amount of backups. Go now to microseed.io. Again, that's microseed.io to get your last backup tool you ever need.
I don't know.
There are a lot of people, I don't know, it's especially in Austria, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but I guess the same, where they are trusting the government, they're trusting the institutions like central banks and the financial institutions, and they still believe in the things that they have been told. Like they believe that if they can just save enough money, they will retire. They believe in the pension system. They believe in all those institutions that are here. And those are the people that I I feel with the most, because they're good people.
That's right.
They trust. They're optimistic. They think of the good in the world, and with those people I'm the saddest, because I feel like they're getting screwed over, and they're just wanting the best for their family, and they're trusting the institutions. I'm like, like, this always breaks my heart. And yeah, I don't really have a question with that, but it just breaks my heart when I see those people that I don't know, maybe it's a single mom that works a job, and she barely has enough to save a little bit, and she just saves in euros, and those euros are sooner gone than she can blink. So it's just I've seen a lot of sad examples, unfortunately, and those are usually people that say, oh, Bitcoin is too speculative, Bitcoin is too risky. And why is that? I just heard yesterday, I follow the mainstream news in Austria just to see what's going on in Austrian politics. And they yesterday reported, not yesterday, I think like a few days, maybe like 3 days ago, on the Bitcoin price going up and reaching a new close to new all-time high in the euro. And it's so sad how they report it. They're just like, oh yeah, Bitcoin went up. It's been that amount of price in that year. It has been that amount of price in that year. And today it's that amount of price. And then there's an expert interview coming from some banker that says that is the expert in the crypto sphere. And they say like, oh, is Bitcoin now a valid investment? They're like, you can invest your money, but it's very speculative, and you should be prepared to lose all your money if you put it in Bitcoin. And it's like, oh, okay, this is what the mainstream is being told. Of course, that single mom that really desperately needs a break and needs the hope in her life, she does not understand, like, because that's who she trusts. She trusts in the mainstream news. She trusts in the banking guy that is interviewed. She trusts in the central banks and in institutions. And because she trusts and she's a good person, that's why she's getting screwed over. And I'm freaking angry at that. That's sad and makes me angry at the same time.
Dude, I feel you, and I guess that's probably where a lot of your purpose and passion comes from. I know it is with mine as well, but if somebody's coming into Bitcoin, they know nothing about it, and they see it on the news, you know, it's reached an all-time high, whether it's 100,000, 125,000, 150, whatever it is. But they're getting their information just from the news. Like all they're hearing about that is, like, that's really all they're hearing. They're not getting any context, or, it's magic internet money, and like you could lose it all. But that's all the messaging they're getting. Whereas if they're listening to somebody that's been studying Bitcoin, or they read a book like the Big Print or whatever, especially like what Lawrence Lepard does, explains why the money is broken, why Bitcoin's a sound alternative. But then he also dives into like what could be framed as the negative side of Bitcoin. So like in history, it's not just straight up, like it's 3 years up and then 1 year down. For somebody that bought it last cycle at 69,000, and they put all their life savings in it, it could have been that single mother like struggling to pay the bills, and you know, for some reason she's like, I'm so fucking desperate, like if I save it in the bank, I'm not losing it, like I'm just losing it to inflation. Worked that part out, and then just goes and just like, I'm going to take all my money, my life savings, I'm going to put it into Bitcoin, and then it goes from 69,000 down to 15,400. That lady's just gone fucked. Like, sorry that came across. Whoever it is in that situation is in a lot of pain, because number one, they don't understand like what they've done and stuff. The one Bitcoin's still the one Bitcoin, but they've seen their fiat dollars go from say like 100,000 down to $15,000 or whatever, 69 if they bought one, down to 15,400. That hurts. Whereas if they are actually putting in the proof of work, they're studying Bitcoin, they realize that it's only moving 11 to 12 days per year, and the rest of the time it's up, down, or sideways. It's just chopping about. And that on any single day, for any single reason, at any time, because Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. It could drop 36%. It could drop 50% or whatever. On a big catalyst, it can very easily drop 76 to 86% for whatever. Mt. Gox, FTX, whatever it is. And these things happen. But because the way that Bitcoin has been designed and its mathematical nature, just everything that goes into Bitcoin, when you start to understand that it is just perfectly sound money, and short term the fiat price can go, but the Bitcoin still, going back to Jeff Booth, it's decentralized and secure. As long as that stays in place, that it will come back over time, because we are in the death spiral. But maybe just also having that mentality in Bitcoin, like any single day, I expect a 36% drop. I fear that it will never happen. That's why I keep stacking like every 2 weeks at a very minimum to be able to do it. Just any spare fiat that comes in, I just buy, stack, and chill. And the fear that we don't get that 36% drawdown that I'd absolutely love, that you'd be happy with. But also knowing that if it happens, or we drop the 3% that we've dropped today or whatever, I'm like, cool, this is just Bitcoin, like this is just what Bitcoin does. And I guess like another hurdle rate with Bitcoin is it takes 100 hours to understand minimum. I don't know how many thousand hours you've put in. I've put in many thousands of hours into studying Bitcoin over nearly last 6 years. And every single day I'll learn something more. But people see like a 2-minute news video or whatever, and they'll make up their mind about it. You're like, fuck. Like it's no wonder sometimes that we get a bad name. It's not easy. It has fucking drawdowns, like big ones. But on the other side of that, it has massive moments of appreciation. And then it'll just drive everyone crazy in between either way. So it's more of like a ego test, isn't it? Like a humility test with Bitcoin. You're willing to put your own biases, beliefs, everything out of the way, and just see Bitcoin for what it is. It's just mathematical scarcity, and it's just working. Every 4 years with 210,000 blocks, it gets cut in half. Same amount of demand, less supply, it's going to go up. And then that brings in more demand. It's going to go up even more. And we'll get to whatever cycle top, even if the 4-year cycles don't hold true, we're still going to have local tops. It's going to come down. It's going to allow the people that understand it to be able to accumulate more sats for their dollar, and then it'll carry on. Hopefully that's helpful for someone.
It's super interesting. I thought about a thing these days where I think Bitcoin sounds for most people too good to be true if they just listen to what we are saying. And people are trained, if something sounds too good to be true, it most likely is a scam. And this is usually true. Like if it sounds too good to be true, like it usually actually is a scam. And then with Bitcoin, if you really think about it, we might have to, this is concept in marketing where you should put all your disadvantages and all your things that are not working in front, and then sell them on the good things. I'm saying like, yeah, Bitcoin is super volatile. It can go up and down multiple percent in a day, maybe like 10, 20%, 30% even in a week, and put all the negative stuff that's currently going on with Bitcoin in front, and then saying, but if you focus on long term, like all the good things with confiscation, self-custody, freedom money, then you get wealthy over like 1-2 cycles and all those things. Back it might be good, because I truly think, and I had that conversation just I think like a month ago with an uncle of mine. Yeah, like, oh, that sounds like it's too good. Like that cannot be true. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but I do think it's true, and you can actually verify. Like you can actually look at it and see it, and you see really like if you talk with someone and you ask them questions and you kind of get them slowly, they're like, oh wait, oh that's amazing. Like, and I talked about that actually yesterday also. I think basic information is not out there. People don't even know that there's a 21 million cap. Like it's such a obvious thing that usually is
That's
not even
right.
talked about in the Bitcoin podcast, because everyone like, yeah, of course there's 21, like we have all the memes and with 21 million. But if you go out in the street and ask what's the maximum amount of Bitcoin that will ever be mined and be out there, I don't know if people actually know that. I don't know if people actually go on this journey of like, oh yeah, there's no, there can only be less than 21 million. Like that's a hard cap there. So I don't know what to make of it, but I just think we slowly get there, and we need more educators. We need more people that are making content, and we need more people that do local meetups, that go from door to door, that go out in the world and actually just bring the message out there, because that's the only grassroots movement way of fighting against a guy getting interviewed on some mainstream news and saying like, oh, it's risky, it can go down 20%, you will lose all your money. Like, yeah, like of course you can lose all your money if you buy high and sell it low. But that's your own fault. One more thing that I wanted to touch on with you, because I think we talked about altcoins in the past, is that I don't hear anything about altcoins anymore. They seem to be completely silent. Like I have some bots in my comments, but they're only bots, and like not, it seems like not real people. Real people no longer care about altcoins, in my opinion. And like I want to talk with you about that concept that there's now Bitcoin treasury companies, and you said that you're not holding treasury companies. I almost feel like all the Bitcoiners that were into altcoins are still into Bitcoin, but now they are into Bitcoin and treasury companies.
Yeah.
How do you look at that development?
Yeah. So like there are still people that are like the people that are going to make the most money from altcoins, the people pushing the altcoins. They're getting the pre-sales. They know what's happening. They're going to dump on your audience. So it's just, 99 out of 100 people are going to do that. They're going to get rich, and they're going to be the people that you're going to see saying like the altcoin cycle here or something. It is for them. But for the average person, like the 99% of retail, or probably to be fair, the 97% of retail going into altcoins, they still exist, but you're going to get fucked if that's you. Like, just don't play around. We've got perfect money. But yes, those people that have that, like nothing wrong with it. And this is just my perspective and my point of view. Some people come for Bitcoin and greed, and that's why I came here. I came through the shit coins, and I've gone through that story many times. I think we may have even talked about it last time. But like came for the fiat gains to get rich quick or whatever. I've stayed for the freedom now, and like once you truly understand it, so there'll be people for whatever reason come into Bitcoin. But then there's some people who are just like, fix the money, fix the world. I just want the separation of money from state, and then the hardcore Bitcoin maxis and stuff. And there'll be other people that have come to Bitcoin. They feel like they're late to Bitcoin, but they want Bitcoin. And then they hear about these Bitcoin treasury companies and how, because they're leveraged on Bitcoin, they're going to outperform Bitcoin so they can sell it for a profit and go into it. It is like, the more sophisticated or maybe a little bit more educated people that were successful trading the shitcoins and stuff have now switched over to the Bitcoin treasury companies because maybe they're comfortable with risk. They're just irresponsibly long, like that group on X or whatever. But they just want a way, like they feel like they're late to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's too expensive, but they want to get to 1 Bitcoin, which they should, or 10 Bitcoin or whatever. It just answers more Bitcoin. They're just like, see, altcoins are dead. Bitcoin's the most pristine collateral asset in the world. I'm going to gamble on a company that has counterparty risk, can just say one thing and do another thing, can issue more shares than what they said they would, could just keep raising money or whatever. There's other companies that will just put out a Bitcoin treasury company that are making absolutely no fucking profit at all. So there's no real way apart from like financial engineering to get more Bitcoin or whatever. but I think like a lot of the mentality, and if people understand how to be able to like price stocks and trade them and stuff, and they've put in that education, or they're willing to put in the next 2 to 4 years to understand that and learn that as a skill, cool. Like whatever, like do that. But for the people that are just going in because the influencers or whatever, or whoever you're following is saying it's going to be a $1 trillion market cap, it's going to outpace Bitcoin 400%, 500%, 1,000% on Bitcoin. And then you're going to be able to sell that, pay your taxes, like the capital gain, and then you're going to be able to buy Bitcoin. They're a leverage play. So like if Bitcoin drops at any reason on any day, for whatever reason, at any time, 36, 50%, whatever, over a week, whatever, they're going to drop even harder. And how long do we have? Like, how long do we have left to be able to buy Bitcoin? But like, you are right. Like, altcoins have gone quiet, but Satoshi knew this, that humans are greedy by design. We want more, and people have unit bias that Bitcoin's so expensive. So they're going out on the risk curve, but not understanding the risk they're playing. So like, why are people doing that? I don't know, like, to answer your question more direct. And it's people's money, it's their choice. But to go into something, especially like if they think like by buying 100% MicroStrategy to be able to end up buying one Bitcoin or whatever, but not stacking Bitcoin along the way. And anything could happen at any stage, It's not really an answer to your question, but I just hope that the only thing that matters in a world of broken money is sound money, and Bitcoin fixes this. Like, that's the revolution in self-custody. Like, the rest is noise, but some people are going to do super well, or are going to do super well. Like, even out of MicroStrategy, because it's the most well known, they're buying it at $60, $40 or whatever. It's 300 now. They're already good, but the people that are really pushing it have probably more Bitcoin in self-custody than we could ever dream of. So like, if they're that speculation went to zero, like, they may be annoyed or pissed off or whatever, but they've got enough Bitcoin that they just like, they're still good, like, they've saved their friends, they've saved themselves, they've saved their family. So I don't know why people do it. They just want more Bitcoin, or I hope everyone wants more Bitcoin. Anyone that understands it does. But I just hope, and I guess that's where my messaging comes from, is maybe we have 3 years max left. Tony Yazbek from the Bitcoin Way thinks it's a whole lot less, where we can still buy Bitcoin in self-custody, have that freedom money. And I just want people not to forget that. Like, everything else is noise. Like, until someone has 1 Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin or whatever the number is, maybe it's 0.1 for someone, whatever it is that feels bloody impossible to get, until that's in self-custody and it's secure, nothing else fucking matters, Robin. Like, nothing. You need to stay fit. You need to have loving relationships. But to live a life of freedom, when we do have digital IDs, CBDCs, unrealized capital gains tax, Australia just handed over its sovereign rights in a pandemic or plandemic to the World Health Organization. Like, the Australian government, the people that we vote to be in charge, have no control. Like, we're dictated to miss this opportunity to hold Bitcoin in self-custody because you're distracted by a Bitcoin treasury company. Like, what are the Bitcoin treasury companies doing? They're buying Bitcoin. They are taken into self-custody. They want to control that Bitcoin. So why would you miss the revolution that is Bitcoin? Like, they wouldn't exist. They wouldn't have any value without Bitcoin. They'd be fucking obsolete. So why not do what they're doing and just get as much as possible, as humanly possible, right now while we still can? Because the people that hold Bitcoin, like what Peter McCormack is doing in Bedford, tidying up his town, providing jobs, income, the amount of people, families that he's supporting, the grants to the young kids and stuff, it's the Bitcoiners that have the capacity to be able to change the world, because it takes fucking money. Like, the world runs on money. The money is broken, but I don't know how much longer we have to be able to get the money, to be able to stack sats in a meaningful amount, and that still exists. So why people do it, I don't know, but it's all the fucking distraction from like what the mission, at least in my opinion, should be, is just to stack sats.
I 100% agree with you. And I always tell people there's those 3 pillars that Bitcoin gives you. The first pillar is the wealth. You're just like, it goes up in price. It's amazing. That's the thing why everyone comes to Bitcoin. But the second pillar is actually maybe the most important pillar, is the freedom aspect, that you can hold it yourself, that you can transact with anyone, that you can get paid for your things, and nobody can stop you from getting paid in the thing. It's a big thing. For example, in Africa, where you cannot, maybe if you're a woman and your husband doesn't allow you a bank account, you don't even have a way to get paid. Like, you need Bitcoin for that. So the freedom aspect is, for me, the thing that enables the wealth aspect, which is the number go up thing. And then there's the third thing with community, culture, and mindset. If you attach yourself also to the social layer of Bitcoin, that you even more benefit from this whole Bitcoin movement. But for me, the main pillar, the foundation of all of it, is the freedom aspect, that you can hold it yourself, that you can do it with that you can transact and hold it yourself without anyone interfering, with any third party in between. And the wealth aspect is just the thing that most people are focused on, because that's the marketing tool. That's the shiny thing that gets you. That's the shiny thing that gets you through the door. But the freedom aspect is actually the foundation to all the other things.
I could not agree more, Robin. It's literally the only reason Bitcoin has value is because you can hold it in self-custody and nobody can stop you from using it as intended. If it didn't do those things, if it wasn't freedom technology, if it wasn't freedom money, it wouldn't be worth shit. You know, like, it just wouldn't be. That's what the cyberpunks wanted. They wanted a digital peer-to-peer electronic cash you can hold. Bitcoin, like, once you take it into self-custody, nobody can control you. But that's the whole point. And yes, like, they're the spin-offs of it, the community and the wealth side of things. That's great. But like you're saying, like, the wealth side, or the fiat dollar, it's a marketing tool. And be here for 4 years, Bitcoin's done nothing less than a double. I think the next slowest over a 4-year period is like a 3x or 250%, or whatever. If you just save in Bitcoin, save the money, but hold in self-custody, and then focus on that freedom. Like, you've been here for a long time, holding Bitcoin in self-custody. Everything changes, man. You just, there's a reason I call it fuck you money. Somebody says something that you don't like or whatever, or they disagree. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Live your best life. You do you. Like I wish everyone the best, but on the old system, if somebody said something that I said something somebody didn't like, they could cancel the bank accounts, make your life hell, whatever, cancel contracts or whatever. And I try to be the best person I can be. I swear too much, like I overspeak, or I may not be nuanced, or whatever it is. But I just strive to be my best. And then with Bitcoin, the rest is irrelevant. It's in self-custody. Like, I don't think anyone could ever impress it enough. And if this just helps one person understand Bitcoin in self-custody, like just Bitcoin in self-custody and more Bitcoin in self-custody, and you're sweet, and just protect the fuck out of it and hold on to it and just let time play out, and then change your life, like in the process. But just by doing that, everything changes. Just, I don't know, naturally.
It's a major thing, and the thing that you also said is, I think, very important. There's a Bitcoin system and there's a fiat system, and this fiat system, even though I don't want it to collapse in the next year, or like how Tony says, or like the next 3 years or whatever, I don't want that, because that means that a lot of lives will be really screwed up. But it can happen. It can happen at any time, and you don't want to get Bitcoin, get the mission, and then hold it in ETF, and hold it in a treasury company, and hold it on exchange, and you don't hold anything yourself, because you might end up with zero. You might end up with like zero value in the Bitcoin system. Which
is like the greatest tragedy I don't think you could have said it better. It's truly all that matters. Holding Bitcoin in self-custody, like that example of Peter McCormack, I use him because he's an amazing person doing amazing things. And he had the biggest Bitcoin shows handed over to Danny. And I haven't watched that latest episode that's just come out. But like as an example, the people with the Bitcoin can do good. And when that system collapses, the US $36 trillion in debt, but then there's like all the unfunded liabilities, same with the Australian pension system. And just the debt, like everywhere around the world, we're in a debt spiral. Fiat money, it's like the best way to say it, the most precise way to say it. Fiat's fucked. It's dead. It's broken. It's game over. How long can they extend it? We lost 4%, I believe I was saying earlier, 64% of value in fiat in the last 5 years. Like when? When do we opt out? When do we go into money, even if Bitcoin is just slightly outpacing inflation, or when it is the money in one Bitcoin's one Bitcoin? Like, what more do you need it to do to go out on the risk curve and then get something that'll give you money back in fiat and you may not be able to hold the Bitcoin? Please study Bitcoin and just learn how to self-custody and do it. I think it's the most important thing for the majority of humanity and people. Like, not everyone can self-custody. Like, yes, you can. It's not hard. Like, talk to the Bitcoin Way or whoever it is. Like, fucking study it. Figure it out. It's 7 steps. It may take you 5 hours, 10 hours, 2 hours, whatever, 100 hours. Even if it takes 100 hours to learn how to self-custody Bitcoin, or 500 hours or whatever, it's fucking worth it. Like, it's really like one of the most important things now with the tyranny going on.
I 100% agree. And I actually have a talk again today with the Bitcoin Way. They have been, I think, one of my oldest sponsors on the podcast. They're amazing people. And I truly can, like, if you really want to take yourself custody to the next level, like that's the people you go to. And I think you also recommend them. Amazing people out there. And I always love seeing Tony at the Bitcoin Prague conference. Like, I would love to see you at the Bitcoin Prague conference, man. Like,
next year, I'll be there.
Oh, that's amazing. That's my personal favorite conference, and I've been there since the first Bitcoin Prague conference. Like, I've literally been there every single Bitcoin Prague conference there was, and it just gets exponentially better every time. So I hope I can host you there. I would love to see you. Maybe we can even do something together on stage. I would love to do that. But yeah, I have one question that I asked each and every one of my returning guests, and you are multiple returning guests already. And the question is, what have you learned outside of Bitcoin since your last appearance?
In the last year or 13 months now, I went heavily carnivore. And so I've eaten, I don't know, 1,500 steaks or something, about 6 kilos a week, 6 kilos a day. I eat a kilo a day, 6 days a week. I only eat lunch and dinner. So I eat at about 11:30 and then I eat at 4:30. So sort of intermittent fasting for the 18 hours either side. And then I'll have 250 gram steaks at lunch. So that's 500 grams at dinner. So in total, I have 14 meals a week. 12 of them are just steak or steak and eggs. And the other 2 meals I just eat whatever with my wife. Last night is a beautiful red sauce pasta or whatever. I'm not religious about it. But by trying that and doing, and I had Dr. Sean Baker, a carnivore expert, sort of the world expert, but also a Bitcoiner on. And like talking to them and just being like, okay, like I'm going to try it. Like I've tried vegetarian, pescatarian, vegan, paleo, keto, Mediterranean diet, etc. Just trying to find what works best for me. And then like the carnivore diet, like the last 12 months, that's been absolutely amazing. But it's not even really just about the carnivore diet. It's over the last 12 months, like really refining my perfect day and my calendar and stuff. So like one of the things with my perfect day is to make the meal super simple. It's lunch and dinner, but then like wake up and do my morning routine. I've just pushed up to 60 push-ups like within a minute of waking up, and then I'll take the dogs out to the toilet, have a cup of tea, and then I'll do some meditation, and then go to the gym, have a sauna, have a swim, and then like a cold shower, come home, have another cold shower, and then have a cup of tea with my wife and stuff, and then staring into the sun, qigong, doing like all of that before 8 o'clock. The Bitcoin community has taught me like to focus on health, because Bitcoin's the wealth. Like, just over time, spend a little bit of time in Bitcoin. 4 years, you'll change your fucking life. Like, it just happens. It probably won't even take that long. But then, like, once you do that, you've got like enough wealth to take care of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the basic ones. What else is more important? Health. Because without health, you can't do anything. You can't enjoy the wealth. You can't have loving relationships. Your sex is shit. Whatever it is, like, that's really the solid foundation of it. And I'm not telling anyone to do carnivore or whatever. It's the thing that I found worked best for me. But like, pairing good, simple food that was like really satiating and sustaining. And then like with the gym and organizing my perfect day for me, refining. Like, a lot of that's come from the Bitcoin community and the personal development and space that I've always been interested in my whole life. But in the last year, Bitcoin has really like crystallized that, or the Bitcoin community, the signal within the Bitcoin community has crystallized that.
That's amazing. I love that. And it shows like when you look at Bitcoiners that have been over one cycle, between 1 or 2 cycles, maybe even like 3 cycles in Bitcoin, how they change their lives, it's phenomenal. That like it's absolutely amazing to see. I mean, yes, there are some people that maybe are like 50, found Bitcoin, are over one cycle in there, and hasn't changed dramatically their life because maybe they have done very good already before. Of course, there are people like that, but most people completely change their lives with Bitcoin, and it's an amazing story. I think the first ever on my podcast, we also talked about your story a lot, and I think how it influenced you. And it's been a pleasure talking with you and knowing you. So thank you so much, Sean, for that. As you know, we have an end routine in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest is. And the previous guest asked you the question: do you think it's possible to truly destroy information?
No, I don't. And not when it comes, like, if we're to relate it back to Bitcoin, if you're running a node, everyone's got a copy of that information, and we could get rid of all the nodes apart from one, and that's still there. I think we can psyop people, we can mislead them with misinformation, disinformation, we can distort their reality and that information that we're receiving. But someone that's awake, that's aware, that's tuned in, that's seeking, that won't trust, that will verify, I think they'll find the information, like the truthful information out there. I don't think we can get rid of it. I think, that saying, the truth will always prevail. Information is just energy, or energy is just information. Whatever way you want to receive those data packets, I think someone that's conscious and awake and that's here, they'll find the information when they need it, whatever that piece of information may be.
I 100% agree. Really cool. Thank you so much, Sean, for being on. Before I let you go, where can people find you and ask you questions?
Yeah, if you want to get in contact, getaybitcoin.com is the easiest way. I've got links to my YouTube. There's some resources. You can find me on X at Sean Clarke, SeanClarke 911 on X, or G'day Bitcoin on YouTube as well. But Robin, mate, you send so much signal. Thank you. It's you're a real treat to the Bitcoin space. And everyone, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button for Robin, and share this video or another one that you resonate with. Maybe this podcast with Tony from the Bitcoin Way or Lawrence Lepard. Get this man's message out there. He's doing Satoshi's work. Keep going.
Thank you so much, man. That means a lot to me. And so thank you so much, Sean, for being on. And also thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening, for joining us today. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye. This content is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.